Good afternoon or early evening, 5:45 on this Monday. These are the cameras views at 5:30 this afternoon. The coast was back and forth. The Inlet Ottercrest down in Lincoln County is showing cloudy skies. Again, kind of back and forth, cloud, sun today. Notice what looks to be kind of a stormy sky with a little brightness illuminating out in Hood River at the Cathedral Ridge Winery camera. And there are storms that have formed in Central Oregon and moving northward up through the gorge. And then in the Inland Valley, here in Portland, Salem, and Vancouver, most of us look like Gresham does. The Gresham Subaru camera just showing beautiful, beautiful sunshine out there. Okay, I mentioned the radar. We're going to see this same pattern potentially tomorrow. You can see thunderstorms, probably some hail. Lightning is being detected Central Oregon, Eastern Oregon. You can see that one storm cell you see has already passed north of Hood River, and then a little bit of rain that looks like it's in eastern Multnomah County, not showing up on the other radars. So I think that was a little blip in the radar imagery as far as I can tell. If anything, the thunderstorms tomorrow will end up being a little bit farther off to the east, although a split flow pattern tomorrow actually brings us an upper level low overhead. And if you look at the weather models, you can see a little cyclonic flow broadly over western Oregon and southwest Washington, which is the reason I've been saying, well, I can't say the rain chance is 0 tomorrow. There's the slightest chance of a spotty storm popping here on the west side. All the weather models are pretty insistent that any action is across eastern Oregon tomorrow, but we'll keep an eye as we're in this relatively weak flow pattern aloft still. Okay. Want to talk about history for a moment because today, the 26th day of June, was day one of the historic heat dome that happened in June of 2021. So on today's date, 2021, Portland got up to 108 degrees. Now remember, before that day, for decades, the warmest temperature PDX had ever risen to was 107. And on the June 26th, we broke that by 1. And then on June 27th, we went to 112. And on June 28th, we went to 116. Let's hope that's a record that never gets approached, okay? Other all-time high records for that heat dome of June of 2021, Salem 117. Astoria hit 101. Isn't that crazy? I remember as a forecaster, and I was looking at my file this morning that I documented on that heat dome. But I remember as a forecaster thinking, could it really hit 110 degrees? Because the temperature at 8,000 feet, the temperature at 5,000 feet, 850 millibars, was plus 30. Now, if you mix plus 30 down to the surface, you get 110 degrees. And actually, it ended up being more like plus 32. And now we know it was 116. So it was certainly something we had never seen before. It's interesting to me also, and I'm going to talk about this in a moment, but the indices we had with that historic air mass over the Northwest 2 Junes ago are very similar to the indices of this guy. See the red over El Paso? That's that heat dome that's set up over Texas. As I mentioned, if you look at the pressure heights, if you look at the temperatures of 5,000 feet in the atmosphere, very similar to what we had here at home 2 years ago. This has been going on for parts of Texas now for 3 weeks, or it's at least in the third week. Crazy. Models suggest that this heat dome is finally going to start shifting. I want to spend some time showing you this. So there it is, the center of the hot weather over West Texas today at 4 p.m. We jump to Saturday. There's not going to be much movement today or tomorrow or Wednesday. More excessive heat warnings across a good chunk of Texas. By the weekend, Saturday, now we've got a westward shift, right? New Mexico up into Las Vegas. And you can see the orange colors, not the core of the hottest weather, but certainly, potentially some of the hottest weather we have seen in Oregon so far this year, extending up into parts of Oregon. Again, that's Saturday at 4 p.m. And then we jump to July 4th, Tuesday at 4 p.m. Now you've got, according to this model, this is the morning run of the American GFS model. The animation here is courtesy of KGW TV. That Deep red, the center core of the heat, is over Nevada and extends up into about Boise and then up into southeastern Oregon. So if that would come true, we would definitely see some 100-degree temperatures east of the Cascades on July 4th. Now you can notice that there's a bit of a cooler marine flow potentially with a westerly wind coming in off of the coast into the Willamette Valley. So it's very difficult to see which wins out right now. I do want to show you, that was this morning's run. Here is the run, the same GFS model, still July 4th. This was a little bit later today. And all these brick colors right here, still extending up into southeastern Oregon. You can see the blue color again. That's a little bit of a marine influence that could keep Portland, Salem, Vancouver, and certainly the coast quite a bit cooler. So we'll see. But again, this is, at this point, if you look at this map, high confidence in parts of Oregon will get up to 100 degrees on July 4th. Now, this map doesn't make much sense to me. This is the marine temperature forecast map for what I just showed you. Now, if you go up into the Columbia Basin where it's kind of whitish color, you can't see a 100-degree temperature there. Otherwise, you see a lot of 90s. You see 91 down in the South Willamette Valley. You see what could be fog in 50s at the coast. And then this shows maybe an 82 in Portland with a mix of 80s and 90s depending on wind flow up and down the Willamette Valley. What doesn't make sense to me is I'm surprised how not hot these temperatures are on the west side. So anyway, there's lots to keep track of. Again, this is building heat potentially for the July 4th weekend and then into July 4th itself, which is Tuesday of next week, right? A quick reminder, I've shown you this before. We've hit 90 degrees 6 times. The last time we've done it, the only time we've done it this month in June was 92 back on June 6th, and we haven't been warmer than 93. So yeah, we've hit 90 a whole bunch of times for so early in the season, but we haven't really had what I would call extreme or excessive heat. Real quick, I do want to show you this. This came out a handful of days ago, but I haven't shown it to you. This was the temperature precipitation outlook for the month of July from our friends at NOAA and the National Weather Service. Now, notice if we start on the right side, the precip, above normal rain in Montana and the Dakotas and maybe down into Wyoming. Equal chances, meaning no confidence in Oregon and Washington as to whether or not we could be bone dry or have some decent convection. July and August, if you don't have thunderstorms, if you don't have some decent convection, your chances of getting anything soaking the ground almost non-existent. Remember, we can only have a trace of rain some Julys. That's not that unusual. So we're hoping that we could get at least a half of an inch this month. It would take several thunderstorms to do that. So we'll see. Now on the left side, where you see the above normal sliver, only on the western side of Oregon and Washington, above normal temperatures. Clearly, this shows that the best chance of hot weather is going to be Midwest and East. So, I wouldn't say it's a slam dunk that we're going to end up in that above normal category, or if we do, just judging on this outlook alone, you wouldn't think we'd have too much in the way of extreme or excessive heat. So that's the outlook from the National Weather Service. Normal temperature for today, by the way, the 30-year average, 77 and 56. Okay, this was a visible satellite picture this morning at 8:30. Love visible satellite pictures to track low marine clouds. You can see the clouds up and down the coast early. They kind of backed off during the day and then came back in. And then you can see the marine push. If you just follow the Oregon-Washington state line, that, of course, is the Columbia River. That's the Columbia River gap, a forecaster would call it. That's the marine push taking advantage of that low topography and pushing marine clouds into Portland and then up into parts of Southwest Washington. Weather models like the marine layer again tomorrow morning. In fact, on Tuesday, they like the marine layer being a little bit more widespread. So we'll see. Whatever we end up with in the morning, we'll clear out and once again get at least partly cloudy skies during the day. And with that said, here's my 7-day forecast. So today we've hit 80, 81 for high. Most of the Willamette Valley, as I thought, did at least get up to 80. If we get a lot of clouds in the morning and they're stubborn, maybe we only get to 78, 79. But if it's like today, we're probably going to be 80, 82. Wednesday, I don't see any marine clouds. I think that's a sunny start and a little bit warmer, 85. And then Thursday, same thing, a sunny start, a little bit warmer, 87. Friday, Saturday, 88, 88. Now, let me tell you, Friday and Saturday, those are days where the air mass could get up to 90. If you're a weather buff, we have upper level heights at 500 millibars of 588, or at least 584, 585, depending on which model you look at. I'm talking about Friday and Saturday. That by far is the strongest ridging we've seen so far this year. Stronger than the days where we hit 90 something in May. So, I won't be surprised if we hit 90 on Friday and Saturday. Increasing odds of doing so, where I have it on Sunday, and then Monday 93, and then right now July 4th would also have at least a chance to be up to around 90 degrees. So, true, that's a pretty decent little heat wave there. Okay. All right. So the big thing I'm going to be watching and updating you on in the coming days, we have a couple more days of pretty comfortable weather. Then we get a little bit warmer. But the big thing I will be keeping my eyes on, where is that heat dome that's in Texas right now? If it starts to shift later this week, where's it going to go? Blocking patterns and big ridge areas or upper level lows, if they've been sitting somewhere for weeks and weeks, which that has been, weather models often are kind of clunky in terms of figuring out where it's going to go. So lots to keep an eye on there. Okay. All right. I hope you have a good night on this Monday, and I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday, and I'll talk to you soon.